Hello, my name is Carlos Abadi, and I am the Managing Director of DecisionBoundaries, a New York-based financial advisory firm. So my comments today will dwell on the financial aspects of the Iranian threat. To begin, I want to note that although not certain to work, the maximum pressure campaign had achieved its basic objective, which was to deprive Iran of dollars. By the beginning of last year, Iran's central bank had $4 billion in the bank, which is basically zero figure given Iran's GDP. That figure, unfortunately, started growing immediately upon the change of administration in the US, and mainly due to non-enforcement of sanctions. There was no formal sanctions relief, but we were looking the other way as Iran was selling oil and not taking to task the purchasers of the smuggled oil. That caused a very swift change in Iran's negotiating leverage. They were at basically zero and unable to import necessities. And one outcome could, and I say could, I don't have a certainty, could have been that it could have, the Islamic Republic could have died of financial exhaustion without a bullet being fired, much in the way of the Soviet Union in 1991. That was one possible scenario. I don't give it a very high probability, but that's where we were at the beginning of 2021. Now Iran's negotiating leverage is much better because of our non-enforcement of sanctions. They managed to accumulate $17 billion over the year, and their reserves are at 21 billion, which is not a terribly comfortable number for an economy of that size. And then we'll discuss what size the Iranian economy is, because there are actually too many exchange rates, and it's difficult to quantify, but it's tiny. You know, the GDP per capita of Iran today is similar to that of Guatemala. Now, going on to the deal. And again, I don't focus on any of the technical issues or diplomatic issues or military issues, because there are a lot of people who are better placed than myself to give that, and I focus exclusively on the financial issues. So I take it as a hypothesis that if JCPOA, as it leaked, gets signed, Iran will comply. And it's a hypothesis. I think it's pretty likely, but I'm not sure. But I take it as a basis of projection. Why do I think it will comply? Because JCPOA is just a pause in the rush to the bomb. It just kicks it. Even if Iran doesn't cheat, all JCPOA does is kick the problem to the next president. It's not a disarmament agreement. like what we had with Libya or with South Africa. It's just a pause agreement. And it's a pause agreement which is extraordinarily well rewarded. The reward that everybody focuses on and that I have the least problem with is the flow reward. By flow, I mean the revenues that Iran will get in the future for as long as it continues complying from hydrocarbon exports. That's fine, because that is a kind of self-correcting mechanism. As long as there's compliance on Iran's part, they get some money and they, their lives are a little bit easier. What I have the huge problem with is what people don't focus on, which is the stock variable. And the stock variable is the result of the lifting of sanctions on the Central Bank of Iran. Upon lifting of those sanctions, $90 billion, which are currently frozen, will be made available to Iran, no questions asked. And even if Iran were to breach on day T equal 1, those 90 billion are Iran's to keep. Those 90 billion should be a very, very worrisome figure. And I cannot understand how our administration has not put conditions or constraints in the use of that 90 billion. Because that 90 billion, believe me, will not be used to buy sprinklers to beautify Iran's parks. A very substantial portion is going to go to increase the allowances of the proxies and amplify Iran's malign behavior, both in the region and worldwide. Because remember, Iran struck as far as Buenos Aires, and it plotted to strike in Bangkok. This is a threat to the entire world. You know, if you're living in Panama, you're not safe from being hit by those 90 billion. So I am very pro resolving this question diplomatically, even pro a stopgap type solution like JCPOA. But what I'm adamantly against, and I think it's utter folly, is to disburse 90 billion upfront unconditionally. So that is my message for today, and I'm open to your questions on the matter. Please unmute yourselves if you're going to make Does anybody have a question? Okay, if that's it, then, you know, the organizers have my, oh, 1 second, please. I see. So I have a question from Benjamin asking, what do I see as a likely outcome in the months ahead? I see as the most likely outcome that Iran, that we will do a deal with Iran, that the 90 billion will be unfrozen, And that's probably as far as I can predict. Now, I can also predict with a very high degree of confidence that those 90 billion will go in substantial part to increasing the budgets of proxies, and that there's going to be increased terrorist activity on Bahrain, KSA, the UAE, Israel, and related targets around the world. Now, the next question is, what do I see as the likely reaction? And which states are going to most likely move against Iran? This, I think, and here I'm basing my opinion on conversations with friends in the Gulf and in the military establishment in Israel. I believe that although the most immediate target of Iran is the Gulf, and that Israel is a desired target, but not a needed one. You know, Israel has kind of a mystical liberation of Jerusalem dimension, but it really has no economic goal. The Gulf does have an economic goal. So I think that the Gulf is going to be the most threatened, but less likely than Israel to react. Now, Israel has wisely been very vague about what their likely reaction is going to be. It is clear that their reaction will be encompassing of both the nuclear dimension and the conventional dimension of the malign activity. In terms of the nuclear, probably as long as Iran complies, it can be done through hybrid mechanisms focused mainly on cyber. And with respect to the conventional dimension, I think that we're going to see an intensification of what the Israeli call the war between wars, which is to interdict the flow of advanced weapons in the corridor Iran-Lebanon, and disrupt the implantation of the IRGC in Syria. We just heard, because it was just declassified, that there was the first time interception of an Iranian drone in 2021 by an F-35 over the skies of a country with which Israel has no relations. That I add to the same military general effort of the war between worlds. Sorry, I need my glasses. Okay, this was not a question. Anybody else has a question? Okay, so thanks very much for everybody. In case anybody wants to get in touch with me, I can be here. I'll type my email address. Oh, it's not going. 1 second, please. There. So everybody has my email address. Okay, bye-bye, everybody. Thanks for attending, and feel free to reach out. Bye-bye.